I wanted to make a video for a while to talk about how I got started with making investments in startup. I get asked by friends and family how to do this, and I'm no expert, but I have kind of learned the basics of it. In this video, I'm going to tell the story about how I made my first startup investment without actually using any of my own money. So let's get into it. So what keeps a lot of people out? There's really three things. The first one and the big one, you have to be an accredited investor to make an investment in a startup, which in Canada and the US, you had to have, I think, a net worth over $1 million or have like a very high household income. So that logically keeps a lot of people out. The second is that these are private investments, and so you have to really know someone. You really have to be invited to invest in the company. So that's the second one. The last one also is you have to invest a pretty large amount of money. You have to invest like kind of 25 to 50K. And then you're also illiquid, so you can't just sell it whenever you want. So all these barriers keep a lot of people out. So how did I make this first investment? Was really by becoming an advisor. So the story really starts from when I came to Silicon Valley, got the job at Tesla, and that I tried to spend a bunch of time helping interns from my university land jobs at Tesla. And then through proxy of that, I got to know a bunch of the engineering students that were from my university. And then we also focused at Tesla really on the student design projects. And there was one particular team that was coming to California. They were doing a competition at SpaceX. I got to know the team a little bit, and they invited me down to kind of just witness the event. But then I also got to know the two leaders of the team. And what I found out when I was there was that two of the leaders actually were thinking about building a startup, and they were actually going to come to Silicon Valley a few days later after the competition. And I don't know if it's this naive or optimistic Newfoundlander, I barely knew these guys at the time, but I invited them to crash at my place for a few days and actually introduced them to, I had a pretty modest network at the time, but I introduced them to as many people as I could. That was initially how we built the relationship. They were, I don't even know if they were incorporated at the time, but had an idea and were just coming to shop it around to people in industry and with potential investors. So that was the initial way I got to know the founders. So this is Adam and Jeremy, the two co-founders of Colab that I got to know. I started advising them, I'll say informally. I don't think we even formalized the advising agreement for over a year later. Really, once the advising agreement was formalized, that was officially, we'll say, a startup investment where technically they're options. So I had to, you buy them at a modest price, and that's your main compensation as an advisor. So you open up, you give them some time, expertise, and some of your network, and that's what you get in return.
As we all know, time is money.
I think the main learning is you can't really think about the money because it's so unlikely that you're going to get a big payout from one of these startups. Unless you're doing it on a portfolio basis where you have, we'll say, like 20 to 30 investments. If you advise one company, the likelihood of you making money off that one company is pretty low. I'm really optimistic about Colab's future, but like the likelihood of any given startup paying back is just pretty low. You had to be getting something out of it besides money. And so for me, it was like I built my network through my work with Adam and Jeremy, so I've got to know kind of an ecosystem through them. I think it's also led me to opportunities like I'm a venture partner for a fund in Canada, and I think without this experience, that would have never led to that one. Then the second one is I've just learned so much about building a startup. Being there from before they incorporated through a Series A, I get a window into that world, and I won't pretend to know what their entire journey is like. I've been very lucky with Adam and Jeremy and their team to be able to learn as much from them, hopefully, as they've gotten from me. So that's kind of it. That's my story and some context on how I got my first investment in a startup. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.